Alright, my name is Sean Fallon, and you're listening to episode 29, Angel. Welcome to From First to Last.
Hello again and welcome again. My name is Sean Fallon. This is From First to Last. Today, my guest. It's quite a day today. Two remarkable things. One, he is the first third-timer guest. He's already been on twice. And the second is that he is the current president of the United States of America. He is I guess you wouldn't call it the Right Honourable, Mr. President Diego Crespo. How are you today, Diego?
Hi, Sean. I am glad to be back. First of all, thank you for having me again.
Of course.
Especially for this show, which means a whole lot to me.
Yeah.
And kind of ties back to my first appearance. Or not kind of, like it does. It ties in entirely to my first appearance on the show.
Yeah, I think, first off, what show did you pick?
Angel, the series.
Angel, the series. So, Angel ran for 110 episodes from 1999 to 2004. Now, obviously, for people at home who are just tuning in, which is sacrilege, you should have been following from minute one. Diego came on episode 1 and did Buffy. So, to sort of catch us back up, what is your experience with Buffy and Angel?
All right. So, Buffy is a show with very high highs and occasional low lows. Angel was different. Angel was pretty consistent from the get-go, I think. And every season, the show rebooted itself, where Buffy had different stories coming into the lives, like exploring the lives of these characters. Angel felt like a different show each season, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
So when it was consistent, it was consistently good. And when it was bad, it was consistently bad.
Okay.
Did you watch the entirety of Angel?
No, so what happened with me, because I know, obviously, as we discussed this, a year ago now, actually, because it was just past the year anniversary.
Yay.
I watched Buffy. I joined Buffy about two seasons in. I was watching it in real time because I am cripplingly old in comparison to you. So a 20-year-old show was a legitimate thing that I could have watched as a teenager. So I was watching that, and then I remember the season where Angel left the show. And then the next year when I started watching it, it would be on a block, so it would be like Buffy and then straight afterwards Angel. And I think I watched about a season of that, and then I started watching, I maybe got about 5 episodes into season 2 of Angel and season 5 or 4 of Buffy, and then that's when I sort of lost interest. Not that there was anything particularly wrong. I think it was just, I think that is the danger, that was the danger 20 years ago, like, you were watching a show in real time. If you missed an episode, and then the next episode you were playing catch up, but if you missed 2 episodes, and then it would just be like, oh, I'm too far gone now, and then the show would just vanish. But yeah, I used to watch it. I thought it was great. I probably for a period enjoyed it. That first season of Angel, enjoyed it more than I was enjoying Buffy. I think I don't know, I thought it was cooler, I guess. But then 1999, there was a very big Matrix influence and stuff like that. So I think I thought, ooh, long black coats, that's cool. And I'm 13 years old, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, if you go back and listen to, like, Joss Whedon's discussion on, like, when he invented the character of Angel, on Buffy, he says flat out, like, he didn't know how to write him because he relates to like the high school struggles and like the insecurities and like the depression, but like Angel is Batman essentially.
Yeah.
You know, like angsty, broody, but kind of like funny when the occasion calls for it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know who that is. I don't know how to write that. And so it took him a while to get him going on Buffy, and then he found his niche. And I think he assisted more with the first season of Angel. Seasons 1, 2, and 3 were very Whedon heavy. And then 4, he tapped out and left the show running to someone else. I think it was like David Gordon Green or something. That might be completely wrong.
David Fury, I want to say.
Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah.
He was a one of the head writers, and to wrap up Buffy's stuff during their final season over there. And I think that leads to a lot of issues with that season. But yeah, no, it's totally like post-Matrix vibe, like the long coats, the alleyways, the the cool like slow motion action sequences.
Yeah, no, very very much so. And well, it's funny there with what you were saying about Angel being Batman. So watching this first episode, I was like, okay, cool. So it's like a mix between Batman and then like a 30s hard-boiled detective story. So you have like that thing of like, I guess it's like, what if Batman was played by Humphrey Bogart in the 30s and written by Raymond Chandler, and then that just got me thinking. I was like, okay, so if this is like that, so if Angel is Batman and like that kind of detective story, and we've discussed this before, Buffy's more like Spider-Man and like, oh, I originally said Nancy Drew, but I think the obvious comparison is Scooby-Doo, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
detective thing. Like, so I think that's interesting. Like, even though they are pretty different shows, but there's a nice sort of DNA they share. Like, they keep that sort of idea of like superhero detective stories, but just change uh, the reference point, I guess. So what did you think of this first episode, watching it again?
Yeah, it took me back. I hadn't seen it in a while. And I was like, dang, like this is still a heck of a pilot. Like, it completes the thesis statement of the show really well.
Yeah.
The production value, like Buffy, still feels relatively cheaper than what the show will eventually be able to achieve.
Yeah.
And I really like these characters still. Cordelia, I didn't know that she changed shows as well when I was first making my way through this. So I was like, oh wow, that's weird. Like
Okay.
I just never pictured those two hanging out like at all. And then she becomes like one of basically the co-lead of the show for an extended period of time. And it brought me back to like how much I like these shows a lot.
Yeah.
And the character of Doyle, who's made an impact in the show in a big way, played by Glenn Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that character stuck around for a while longer too. But to get into the little history of that, the actor Glenn Quinn had a drug problem.
Yeah.
And so he had to be written off the show, and tragically died. Like I think a year after he was written off, and his ending is really tragic too, especially with all that in hindsight.
Yeah,
and it's just a really great first episode, you know.
Okay, yeah, like you say, very different, I think, from the Buffy pilot, because I mean, this one is just so self-contained, and like you say, it is basically, it's almost like the pitch for the show. It's like, okay, what we're going to do? It's going to be sort of like Batman. It's going to be a very Hollywood, LA type thing. It's going to be a bit bigger. You're not going to have to deal with any like teenage high school stuff. I'd almost go as far as say it's a bit more grown up, and it's different characters, but stuff's familiar, and it's great. It's really satisfying as well to have that dude get kicked the fuck out the window at the end. I love that.
Oh, that yeah,
Such
I
a
wanted
great
to mention
sequence.
that. That is a great comeuppance little moment there.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that like the difference between characters like Buffy and Angel, where Buffy is respectable. She has like a not that Angel isn't respectable or doesn't have like a code of honor, so to speak, but there's a more human element there where Angel is like Tim Burton's Batman. You know? Like he'll strap a bomb to someone and like they'll blow up, and then like too bad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because that was the whole thing of like, you know, kicking the dude out the window. He has a little one-liner and then he walks out. You're like, oh, okay, that's very... And it's also as well sort of breaking out of Angel's thing of like him being like this broody, dark character. And it's like, yeah, we'll give him a bit of that. But even like the opening scene, he's a bit drunk and a bit silly before Sawyer shows up. The fuck?
Oh yeah, from Lost.
Just another connection to
I
you.
love
So it's
that.
like, right, so Sawyer from Lost from the last time you were on, and then obviously Buffy. Very good. And yeah, and that sort of opening, like the cold open where he's like, you know, a bit drunk and he's talking about Buffy and all that, but then it's a bit silly, so it's like, okay, well, he's not going to be this big brooding, boring character. And then straight after that, he kicks the shit out of a bunch of vampires. Like, okay, cool. So that little cold open, you're like, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting thing. And I think the show continues that for the pilot. Like, you introduce Doyle, who sort of is just a backstory machine for a bit. And then you do have the thing of he has to go and help Tina, but crucially he actually fails. So you're like, okay, cool. So he's not he can kick shit out of vampires, but he's not perfect, and he's still learning. So yeah, like, come join us on this show. This is our character, and he's going to learn to be this guy, and what's not to like? So yeah, a fantastic pilot.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that this always pissed me off in this show. The secret stakes that he has in his wrists, like the little slings.
Yeah.
He like never uses those again.
Oh, right.
And those are so cool.
Yeah, they'd be really helpful.
Yeah, what the hell? But yeah, great pilot. That always bugged me.
Yeah,
But
no, I can
great
understand
pilot.
that. Yeah, and interesting, like the aesthetic of it being still very 90s cool, like the scene transitions where it's like and then moves to the
Oh
next
yeah,
thing.
totally.
Yeah, so
It's like the thing that CSI and NCIS never grew out of.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was like this was cool once.
I mean, this is like a super obvious comparison, but Blade, like the first Blade
Yeah.
movie. Blade 2 to an extent, but that one's more like aesthetically pleasing because it's Guillermo del Toro. But the first one, that's like some hardcore 90s cheese.
Yeah. Oh, I was.
And,
yeah, I was into that. Like, I was a teenager during that point, and like Blade, Matrix, this, yeah, they were as cool can be. I was like, yeah, big coats, stalk in the streets, alleyways, fucking up bad guys and all that. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And obviously, it was. I mean, 1999, the year this show premiered, is obviously the same year as The Matrix. And what year would have Blade been? Was it 98? I think.
I think it was 98. Yeah.
Yeah. That was just the aesthetic right at the end of the decade, like, and but it works. I didn't watch this and was just like, I didn't think it was cheesy. I was like, no, I like this. This is cool. I think it's done in a way that is pleasing. Yeah. Well, I mean, what did you think of like the direction and stuff like that?
I don't even know who directed it. It wasn't Whedon, right?
I thought it was.
Oh, shoot. It might have been, but oh my god, this is gonna kill me. I have to look this up really quick. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm doing it now.
But it is it's a really well directed pilot too. It feels like a mini movie. You know what? It was directed by Whedon.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
And it feels like it's one of those Whedon directed episodes that like elevates the show a bit. I mean, Angel has a pretty broad scope, even though it takes place primarily in L.A.
Yeah.
Because LA is a big, broad, weird place, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this would totally happen. I'd believe it. Well, I mean, obviously to an extent. It feels very superhero-y. I know we keep bringing up Batman and Blade, but like even the final shot with the triumphant music,
Yeah.
even like in spite of the losses, like that's a superhero moment.
Oh yeah,
with a vampire.
very much so. Like when he's because he's like stood on the parapets of a building and the camera's like moving around. It's like it's essentially like. I'm going to say The Dark Knight, where you've got him obviously standing on the thing and the camera goes all the way around. But I think that's become a standard like Batman image. Like even the opening credits of Batman the Animated Series, the final scene, like they don't even say the words Batman. You've just got him stood there and then lightning flashes. And that is just the standard superhero moment now, isn't it? Of like, look at, for a certain superhero looking out over the city, waiting for crime to happen, waiting to save the day. And again, like I say, I sort of watched it, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I really like this character, and I really like the way they're setting it up. I think it's great. And I think I would only say the only duff note in the whole thing, and I think this must have been a studio mandate, is where Doyle comes in and tells Angel his own life story. He gives him like his the backstory, like, oh, you were this, then you were this, then you met this girl, and like, yeah, Angel. Well, I think Angel even has a line of dialogue where he says, "Yes, I know this. I was there." Which that's the only bit that sort of like slows everything down for a bit, because obviously I remember when I was watching this in 1999, which is however many years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. Oh god, it's more than that. 16 years ago? Yeah, 18 years ago? Shit. Yep. I was even annoyed by it, because I just watched an episode of Buffy, and then I watched this, and I was like, yeah, we all know this. No one's starting Angel independently of watching Buffy. But yeah, I can only assume the studio were like, oh, just to be on the safe side, let's catch us up a little bit. But other than that, everything else was great. I thought it was funny, it was charming, it had some cool bits, and they say a great payoff at the end with Russell. and that little hint of something weird with the law firm, with the what's his name,
Wolf, Ram, and Hart.
yeah, like I
Which
think
is like a not so subtle thing about Wolf, Ram, and Hart, like this demonic imagery and stuff that they really tap into throughout the rest of the series. They introduced Lindsay in this episode as well, who is a great foil for Angel, I think, because he just sucks. Like, he's not as cool as Angel. Angel is better than him at everything, and he's just like this pathetic little weasel that just can't catch a break. Whereas Angel, who is kind of pathetic in his own way, but not like entirely by his own doing, he's more just broody and like sad. I don't know. I really like their chemistry a lot, and I'm glad that they're both around for the 100th and the final episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think we might as well just get into this finale, and I will just say. I'd never seen this finale before. This was the first time I watched it. And I will say,
no way.
This finale fucks. It was great. I was there. So good. What was your experience with this? Like when you watched it the first time?
Oh, man. I got my friends into Buffy and Angel, and they're like, stupid-ass teenage boys like, oh, Buffy is kind of a girl show. And then you watch it, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm just an idiot. And I need to open up my mind. And then that's basically what happened with me, and then I was like, oh, I got to show this to everyone. And then I got my friends into it, and one of my friends, Eric, really got into it, Angel, specifically. So we watched Angel, we watched a couple episodes together, and I was, like, sick dying, and he was like, we're both in the last episode, we need to go to our friend Nick's house, who has, like, this huge theater TV area, and, like, surround sound, the whole shebang, like, we need to watch it there. And I was like, okay, I'll go for, like, an hour. I'm dying, I have the flu.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody touch me, I'm just here to do this, and I'm going home. And so we watch it, and it's just like a movie experience.
Yeah.
Like, this is my favorite TV finale, actually.
Yeah. No,
it might be my favorite ending to, like, any story. It's so satisfying, and it's an ending that hits all the notes that were required for, like, the evolution of the TV show.
Yep.
And where its roots were grounded initially.
No, definitely.
So did you finish season 4?
No, I didn't get anywhere near that.
Okay, season 4 is like real bad.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some of it's pretty good, but it goes off the rails pretty quickly, and you're just like, what are you doing? And I think this is important to note that when people and productions or whatever in life, when mistakes happen, it's important to address them and find ways to fix them. And so what Angel did in season 5 was address the mistakes in, like, not a metatextual way, but like, okay, we need to do better now. And like, look how far off you've gone from your primary mission statement, Angel.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a whole thing. And so the finale brings that back, and just is like this really tragic and like perfectly Angel way, where it's funny, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's the Godfather, essentially, assassination sequence for the entire episode.
Yes, I have that in my notes. Godfather takedown.
So good. It's so good.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and even like obviously a lot of these characters. Well, I think that was a very interesting thing that Angel seemed to do. Was like characters who were on Buffy, who left Buffy, could then have a second life on Angel. Like Spike, obviously, the first time me and you spoke on this podcast, we saw him die in the finale of Buffy, and then he was back here, and then Wesley was on Buffy and Harmony and so forth and all that. And I think that's really cool that they had that thing of, if a character wasn't working in the Buffy setting, they could just jump them across and be like, okay, well, maybe we'll see if they work in Angel. I know I did read a rumor that like Oz was going to join Angel at some point, but Seth Green didn't do it or something. Or, I know like Faith as well was in Angel for a bit.
She's the good part of season 4.
Yeah. So it was cool to sort of see some characters I recognized from like the Buffy days and stuff like that. But even though I barely knew most of these characters, there was a lot. I was really tense about what was going to happen, and like what happened to Wesley was really sad, even though I had no real frame of reference for it. I thought Gunn was going to die. I thought after he threw the axe through the senator's head, which was genius. I thought he was done. Like, but no, it was great. Like you say, it was very funny and very tense. And the whole opening with the board meeting of all the devils was amazing. I was like, oh, this is imagery I can get behind. This is amazing. Like, this is creative and interesting and just the right side of goofy. Like it hadn't crossed over into like what the fuck, it was in that nice point where you're like, this is really good effects, really good makeup, and yeah, I'm into it. It's cool. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really love the character of Wesley a lot. Like,
Yeah.
there's character development, and then there's what happens to Wesley Wyndham Price, because that guy does a complete 180 from who he starts off as in Buffy.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning of Angel, he has like this gag running joke about like, oh, I'm a rogue demon hunter, Angel. I don't work with the council anymore. And then by the end, he's actually a rogue demon hunter who doesn't work with anybody anymore. He only helps them because they're the only people who accept him, essentially.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, I love these characters, and it's always so sad to watch it. And he's like a goofy little sidekick at first, then he just becomes this tragic hero. And
Yeah.
like, he doesn't have a sense of humor that Angel does anymore. Like, it's just gone. Like, he's nothing. He's empty, and all he has is this fight
Yeah.
against evil, and it's not a fight that anybody can win in like a definitive stance, but there's this great message in the show that as long as you keep fighting, then you're gonna win.
Yeah.
And man, like that last sequence, I've heard
Yeah.
a couple complaints about it being a cliffhanger that's never going to be resolved, and I think that's just totally ridiculous. That's totally uncalled for. That is the perfect ending for this show. Like, this wouldn't work for Buffy, but for this show, given the themes and like the ideas behind Angel, a character who cannot die because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
I think that's a hell of a send off.
Yeah, and I mean, the comparison to Buffy, definitely, like, the Buffy ending was quite definitive. It was like the Hellmouth was destroyed and Buffy could have a normal life, because that was the aim of the show. Like, it was interesting, because I when I finished watching this, I went on Wikipedia and was reading, like, reviews, and apparently, like, when it first aired, it was just, like, ripped to shreds, and like you say, people are like, oh, pointless cliffhangers, this. And it's since, as years have gone on, gained more acclaim. And now, obviously, like you're saying there, it's considered one of the best finales of any TV show ever. And Whedon did come out and say, you can't end a show like this with Angel winning. Like, the whole thesis statement of the show has been that redemption isn't easy. You have to just keep working day by day by day, doing good things, trying to be a better person. So the idea that it would end with him, with these people who are all sort of in the same sort of boat, trying to get redemption, and it would end with him facing off against a ridiculous horde of bad guys and just being like, right, let's go to work. And it's like, yeah, because it doesn't stop. You have to keep fighting it all the way. And it's gorgeous. Like, when it was finished, I was like, oh my god, that is beautiful. I just absolutely love it. Genius.
On that last line, I adore. I don't know if I'd ever get a tattoo. I love looking at them. I don't know if I'd ever personally get one, but if I was ever going to get a quote, "Let's go to work" would probably be the one. That's such a badass line, and it's just so powerful. It's riveting stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it's great, and it's like you say, I couldn't imagine. It's interesting because I had a similar conversation a few weeks ago when I was talking about The Wire, and people's like criticisms of that, like the finale of that, and it is that thing of like, if you then you haven't got it, you haven't worked out what the story was about. Like, I saw people. Have you watched The Wire? All of The Wire?
I have. Yeah. Brilliant show.
Yeah, so I had a guy, like, when the show had its finale, like, a guy on Facebook who was talking about how it was a disappointing ending and it was no good and, nothing got solved. Like, yeah, that's the whole point. That's what they've been telling you every minute of every hour of that show, that they can't win. They can just keep going. And then I feel like it's the same with this. Like, obviously he signs away his chance for humanity at the start, doesn't he, on, like, the prophecy or whatever. So now he's just going to keep fighting just to be, to be a better person, to be a good man. Or, obviously, a dragon will rip him to shreds, or they'll fight their way through the horde, or Buffy will show up and help them, or something, whoever. But that doesn't matter, as long as they're not running away and they're not hiding and they just keep fighting. Genius. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous message.
Yeah, on the Buffy note, too, there's a recurring thread in Season 5, because they end up working with Wolfram and Hart to do good from the inside
Oh, yeah.
of darkness or something like that. It's an interesting idea, and obviously one that leads to many faults along the season.
Okay.
And they run into a character, Andrew from Buffy, who acknowledges that nobody trusts them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because they're working with these people or demons, just flat out monsters.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the setup when I initially watched through the season, but looking in hindsight now, I really like this. After that episode, I think it's either before or after, but him and Spike go try to track down Buffy in Italy, and they hear that she's with like some other vampire, and she is, but she's not like seriously dating or anything. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Relationships, yada yada, eternity, love, whatever. And they both just like decide to let her be. And really, I think it was because they couldn't afford a Sarah Michelle Gellar cameo.
Yeah.
Or timing didn't work out, whatever have you. It ends up working thematically to me because they need to, Spike and Angel, that is, they need to figure out who they are now without her. You know, I mean, that's not a foundational relationship if you just, like, just nothing by yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the ending of Angel and Buffy, both stand on themselves, and this is where I tie it all around to say that Angel and Buffy belong together. Spike's cool, but he's not someone you bring home to Mama Summers, okay? So...
Well...
I mean, he forced his way into the house. It's not like...
Well,
I'd say... Whatever.
I was going to say,
I don't like that.
Do you bring anyone home to Mama Summers now? Because, you know...
Oh. Now I'm sad.
Sorry, man.
It's okay.
I did notice Adam Baldwin has now been in 4 of the finales that I've done on this show. He was in, obviously, Firefly, X-Files, and Chuck. He's played pretty much the same character in all... Well, not really. He's sort of like in sort of Chuck and Firefly, similar characters, and then in this and X-Files, very similar characters, like unkillable super soldiers who get killed.
Yeah.
I was a bit shocked to see Pete Campbell. I can't remember the actor's name now. I saw his credit at the start, and I couldn't remember who the actor was. And then it was, young Pete Campbell. Just... Yeah, that blew my mind from Mad Men. Was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, he plays... well, I mean, obviously, he plays Angel's son, but he hops in, like, towards the end of Season 3. There's, like, a whole weird arc. It's good. It's real good stuff when it starts off. And then Season 4 happens, and you're like, oh, what is happening?
Right.
But he's great. When the show gives him stuff to do other than whine, he's great.
Okay. And he's Angel's kid. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of I was hugely confused by the blue woman, the blue-haired woman. I just sort of took that to be a demon, and then I took her to be something else, and then I was like, oh, okay, so she was like...
I was going to ask about that, because as soon as we decided to do this episode, and you let me come on, I was like, if he hasn't seen Angel... What's he gonna make of Fred? Because, okay, so the history behind that character is at the end of Season 2, they wrap up the L.A. Wolfram and Hart stuff like a couple episodes earlier than the season finale would. So sort of like how a season of Buffy, they wrap up their story, and then the season finale is like foreshadowing and like this weird surreal dream thing. Well, Angel kind of does that, but they go into this other realm where Lorne, the bar singer, is from. And there's a bunch of his people there, and you find out like he's an outcast there because he just loves to sing and everything. And they find this girl, Winifred Burkle, who's been trapped there for years, and she's gone insane. And so they bring her back, and she joins the team, and she learns how to be human again, essentially.
Right.
And then Wesley and her have an will they, won't they thing, and then she gets together with someone else, and tragedy. And then they end up together, and then tragedy, and she dies. And then she comes back as some demon priestess thing, monster. And then that demon learns how to be human. So she's the same actress going through the same arc through 2 entirely different characters.
Amazing.
Yeah, and she is so good at both of those, because they feel like different characters. It's not like... They're nowhere near related, I would say.
Yeah, when she turned into Fred... to when she was talking to Wesley and she turned into him, I was like, I know in my brain that's the same actress. I know that's Amy Acker?
Amy Acker, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know that's her, but if you told me it was two completely different actresses, I'd have believed you. Like it's not just that they sort of look different with the hair and the eyes and stuff. Her mannerisms as Ilaria were very like very still, very stilted. You know, not much movement, big wide eyes, and then like Fred was just a normal person. Like that's really good from that actress. Like fantastic to sort of not just rely on the makeup and stuff to actually be a whole different thing. And also, it was awesome where she punched that dude's head off. That was cool
That's
as well.
my favorite.
That was really satisfying.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite of the kills in this finale. Right after the most tragic one for me, because I loved Wesley.
Ah, yeah. Quite dark as well with Lorne just like straight up shooting Lindsay. Just executing him. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because I had a scene spoiled for me on Tumblr, because I was really into Tumblr back when I was first watching this.
Right.
And it was the gif of Lauren saying, "That's all, folks," or "Good night, folks," like, "That's all," something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, is that where he dies? Well, he doesn't die, but he just killed Lindsay, and he's not, he's not a murderer, but he had a part to play, and after that, it's just so sad. Like, no one gets away clean in this show, and it's a really tragic in a different sense, because he's not a murderer, he's not a man of action, he's a bar singer who happens to be really helpful and care about these people, but on the flip side, that's like a totally perfect ending for Lindsay, I think, as well, because he's just like he even acknowledges, like, what, this, no, like, this isn't how I go, no, like,
Yeah.
Angel kills me. Angel has to kill me, and that's it.
And they just, yeah. I thought that was great. Like, just very tragic, and like it definitely ties into what you were saying before about the idea of Lindsay being lame in comparison to Angel. So Angel, even to the point of like, even when they're allies and he's gonna turn on him, he doesn't even think he's worth killing himself. It's actually like, oh, one of my dudes will just do it for me. Like, there's not some like long drawn out fight between them. He's like, Lindsay is not worth my time. I have much bigger fish. I'll get the lounge singer just to shoot him. Which is, again, like, going by what you're saying, it's great that they sort of stayed true to themselves. You know what I mean? Like, nothing from beginning to end on this pilot from this finale. Yeah, everything felt like it made sense. And like I say, the ending being the way it was perfect.
I wish. I mean, this is just from a fan. This wouldn't have worked like thematically or story wise, but part of me did wish that there was some more Buffy stuff in there.
Yeah.
But then obviously it wouldn't have had the same impact, because this is specifically about Angel, and I believe the fan community calls them the Fang Gang. Like the Scoobies, but no one calls them the Fang Gang in the show. I don't think. Yeah. Like even Gunn in the finale doesn't call them the Fang Gang. He says like the Fang Brothers for Spike and Angel.
Ah, yeah, that works.
No one calls them that, but whatever. It's a cool name. And I like Gunn a lot as a character.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Like where everyone takes the time to go about their day, like if it was their last day, and unfortunately it was for some of them. Where he goes back to just his neighborhood and help out again, because when we first are introduced to him in Angel, it's like you expect Angel to be the guy in the long trench coat, and when the vampires turn around and the camera pans to Gunn, his first line is, "You expected someone else," and I mean, I think that's why those characters got along so well eventually. You know, they have the same outlook on life, like they both just want to help people and do better for themselves and the community and people as a whole, and then obviously Gunn gets a chance to do that by killing a United States senator.
Brilliant. That was really good. I was really satisfied with that. Yeah, I think when I watched the show, but when I finished watching the show, like the quote Fang Gang, if you will, were Cordelia, Gunn, and Wesley. I think that's as far as I'd got. Like, Wesley had rocked in on a motorcycle, and Gunn hadn't quite joined the team, but he would appear every couple of episodes.
Oh yeah,
and he was definitely like a standout character, because I'm all about stuff like we talked about this on the Buffy episode. Like when I used to watch Buffy, like I was a big fan of Xander. Like the idea of someone who has no sort of magical powers or has no special abilities, but they're still trying to fight evil, and like their special ability is just, you know, how brave they are. And I think Gunn was the same. Like he was like neighborhood watch. Like he was just like the vampires were terrorizing his community and his block or whatever. So he was trying to clear them out, which I think is great. I think that's one of those characters where you think to yourself, well, I'd watch a TV show about that guy. That guy could have his own spin-off. I'd be all about that.
I think that's also really quick. Just why these characters are also great. They all lead their own narrative. They're all under the umbrella of Angel the series, but they all have these clearly formed stakes for themselves, and those stakes tie into the overall narrative. It's just obviously a lot harder to do than just talking about. So I'm not gonna say it's easy or anything, but when it's done right, it's done damn good like this. So
yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing. When you watch an ensemble TV show, when you have those characters who sort of who are just there, it's crap, and it's obviously crap for the character as well, because you do have you will find a show and you're watching it and you sort of think to yourself, well, why are you still in... Well, Game of Thrones is one of that, where occasionally a character's arc will just sort of stop and then they'll just drift, and because the actor still works on the show, they'll just continue to be in the show. The last season of Game of Thrones, Sam and Gilly were just they were in most of the episodes, but they never really did anything. And that happened with Tyrion Lannister. There was a point where I think there was a whole season where he didn't really do anything, but he's in the show, so he has to stay there. So it's great when you watch an ensemble show where it's no, we're telling 6 different stories at the same time. This is your main story, and everything will sort of tie into that. And if you can do that, obviously Whedon's all over that.
Oh yeah,
that's his bread and butter. You only have to see that in the Avengers or whatever, and Firefly and stuff. But yeah, when it works, it's brilliant. And if this was like that, then yeah, that's wonderful.
Which is totally why he should do an X-Men movie. I mean,
yeah.
I know they just tapped him for Batgirl. That might fall through, but at the time of this recording, they just got him to write and direct Batgirl.
Yes.
And I think that's brilliant. But at the same time, I'm oh, just do X-Men, please. These Fox movies are kicking butt now, and just hop on over, man. You did two great Avengers movies. I know people might argue with that, but the team thing it's all there. Come on, please.
Well, I mean,
there's no one who really pulls it off like he does, I think.
No, I mean, if you read his run on Astonishing X-Men, the comic book run, it's great. He pushes Kitty Pryde to the front and all that, and yeah, no, fantastic, really, really good. Yeah, I think Batgirl is an interesting choice for me. I think it is definitely moving back towards Buffy territory. I think the new sort of Batgirl comics are sort of a team thing, but I'll be intrigued. I did tweet at Gina Rodriguez saying that I would sell my soul if she got cast as Batgirl, and she liked my tweet. So
don't even. No, I love her so much. If she was Batgirl,
yeah,
I would. I don't even know what I would do. I would explode.
It'd be amazing.
That would just be it for me.
It'd be amazing on a variety of different levels, and she is she's amazing. I'm madly in love with her. I think she's just wonderful, and she's one of those people who, when you see her in things, she's great, and then when you see her on social media or being interviewed and stuff like that, she's just cool across the board. She's got her head on straight, and yeah, I think she'd be amazing at it as it. They probably won't cast her, but if they did, it'd be amazing. I'd be all over that.
Yeah, I mean, to tie it back around, I think I want to talk a little bit about the influence of these Whedonverse shows, the Buffyverse, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
We'll call it. So the CW is really just knocking out of the park with ratings and mostly reviews for their DC shows, their entire umbrella, their Justice League, so to speak. And they've said, specifically Greg Berlanti has said, that the approach that Whedon took with the ensembles heavily influenced their approach. So that's why every DC show has an ensemble with the hackers, the side relief, the police view, yada yada. Everyone's different but the same.
Yeah,
and
which is great.
I hope more of those shows take the route that Angel and Buffy took with their finales, where I think when we talked about it on Buffy, I didn't think it was a super great finale, but it's a good one for Buffy.
Yeah.
That's this type of finale she needed, or an Angel needed this one.
Yeah.
So for Arrow, this is the type of finale you aim for. You don't aim for the Buffy one, because that's a darker show. The Flash, you go for the Buffy route. Supergirl, you need to pull that off perfectly. I think that's a whole other beast. But the point is, I think these big ensemble genre shows, like they're not niche anymore. Like they're broad appeal.
Yeah.
And I think because of shows like this, that's why. I think it's because of Whedon's work here.
Well, I mean, you only have to think, like, I mean, like Buffy's legacy and, well, I guess if you just can't say the Whedonverse legacy of the world. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, they had that Entertainment Weekly thing with the 20-year anniversary. And even as someone who was a cursory Buffy fan, like, I watched it for a few years and then never really went back, I devoured that. I thought it was amazing. And it was just wonderful to see all those people back together, and the pictures were amazing. But the thing was as well, which blew my mind, I was like, how well, and, they all look amazing. And you're like, you could make Buffy tomorrow, and Sarah Michelle Gellar could still play a 19-year-old. Like, she is just, like, all of them, it was just like, wow, just 20 years, and they just all looked absolutely incredible, and all just seemed still, like, really cool, and, yeah. Like, that definitely just got me thinking, like, I'd love them to do something else now. To just do something. But then, obviously having watched this now, I'm like, well, if they did do anything back with Buffy, if you have Angel in it, then you have to sort of... It would take the shine, I think, off this finale. Like, this finale has to be it. Like, I know they did, like, a comic book series after this, which followed on. But no, I think this finale, you've got to just draw a line under it and just stop. And say, no, as far as you're concerned, the fight just continued. Don't worry about it. The fight for souls and shit.
Yeah, like I read the first volume of the Buffy comic, and it just felt like a breath of like fresh air. Like I felt like I was hearing the actors speak through the dialogue. I think that was written by Whedon. Yeah, and that was really great because those are characters I want to keep revisiting. And I think I don't know if the comic's still going on. But for Angel, I didn't even bother checking it out because even if it's great, this ending, hyperbole be damned. I think this is like a perfect ending for this show. Maybe not all shows, but this is like the one for me. This is the TV series finale for me, and I don't even want to see what happens after because even with the crazy random happenstance that I don't like it, I don't think it'll ruin anything for me, but I don't need to see anymore. Yeah. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, you do have that, don't you, with certain things where you're like I've had films where I've watched, like, one film and they've made a sequel and I've been like, nope, I've taken all the nourishment I need from this, I don't need any more. And that's the same with this. Like, I was quite tempted to see if the library had the comic book just to sort of see what it was like. But then the more I think about it, like, no, this is a good ending. This is, it's like you were saying there about the CW shows. Like, you do have to sort of pick and choose whether you want to have, I guess, the two kinds of endings, a Buffy ending or an Angel ending. A Buffy ending where it's like, well, this is the end, or an Angel ending where it's like, well, you've had a little look into these people's lives, and then the story just continues without you. Like The Sopranos, like The Wire. And it's interesting when you watch a show that sort of messes that up, and Dexter being the obvious one. Like, Dexter should have had very much a full stop ending, but instead they went for something that was a bit more open-ended, like, the story continues. You're like, nah, dude, this story needs to end. And it's interesting...
It needed to end like 4 seasons prior.
That's it. Well, it's like you were saying there about Angel having the bad season and then course correcting. And it is fascinating when you watch a show that has a bad season and then they just double down on it and they just keep going. Like Heroes or something like that, where it's like, the show's gone off the rails, you need to listen to critics or fans or whatever and find out what you've done wrong and try and fix it. But I think sometimes you do have showrunners who are like, no, I know best, so I'll make more seasons of this. So it's nice to see a show that kind of goes, ooh, okay, we fucked a year. We'll acknowledge that and we'll try and get it back on its feet. I did read, with Angel, I was quite surprised to see that it got cancelled. But when I sort of did a little bit of research, it was actually one of the highest rated. I think it was second rated to Smallville, I think, on the network it was on. But there was a bunch of different things. Like, apparently it was really expensive, so that led to it being cancelled. And apparently, I think Whedon wanted an early renewal and something else and something else. Like, he sort of tried to go for some stuff, and they called his bluff, I think, and cancelled it on him. So
yeah, he had like a really rough couple years. I mean, this keeps happening to him. Like, where projects, like, even if they're going good, like, they'll just tear him apart emotionally. So he wraps up Buffy. Firefly gets canceled. His Batgirl or Wonder
Yeah,
Woman
yeah.
movie doesn't work out, and then he asked for the early renewal. I think so he could figure out beats for season 6 of Angel, and then work on the Wonder Woman movie. Like he could hand off the reins to someone else
Yeah.
he trusted again. And then just everything fell through, and he was like, "Oh, come on," like that's why he's bald now, obviously.
Obviously. Well, I mean, it's interesting because like Whedon is one of those people. He's like Terry Gilliam, where he's like someone who makes really good shit, is really respected, but just cannot catch a break. Like even Whedon, like when Whedon reappeared for like the Avengers, we were like, oh my god, that's fucking incredible! It's a miracle. But then, and that was great, and that movie's fantastic. And then Age of Ultron's great, but you have him getting death threats and shit on Twitter, and then he disappears again. You're like, do you want him to work or do you not want him to work? He makes consistently good shit. Just get out, just let him do his thing. So then he doesn't now. Obviously, he's back for Batgirl, which is wading into the DC Marvel morass, and who knows what that's going to do.
That's more dangerous than Star Wars versus Star Trek ever was, I think, especially with Twitter.
Yeah,
like that's oof. I worry about him, but
I'd love to see
even
Whedon do a Star Wars.
After Age of Ultron, like he just like was so drained. I think on-set reports said he was like he looked like a zombie.
Yeah.
Like he just wasn't alive. Like
Yeah.
he was a husk.
Just where a man used to be. But yeah, I mean, like you say, it'd be great to have him do. I'd love to see him do an X-Men. I'd love to see him do a Star Wars, and I'd love to see him go back to. I don't know actually if I want him to go back to TV. I tend to find his TV stuff's a bit more goofy, and I like his movie stuff more, like the Avengers stuff and Serenity. Are obviously all fantastic. It'd be interesting to see him do like something, go back to TV and do something original, but who knows?
Yeah, I know he was working on an idea about a World War II supernatural thriller.
Cool.
Like it sounds like The Keep, but
yeah.
hopefully without the studio interference that makes it like really bad.
Yeah.
Because I mean I love Whedon, but his directorial style I don't think lends itself to like aesthetics or atmosphere too much.
Yeah.
And like that saves The Keep. So
Yeah, true.
that's a weird project. I don't know if that one's gestated any further, but I'd be interested in that. And he has said that TV is his first true love, so
Okay.
I think he'll go back to it eventually. Just I think right now he's maybe not comfortable, but he wants to explore movie stuff.
Yeah, well, he's good for like you say, not so much like atmosphere and stuff like that, but just like a sense of scale and a sense of like being able to turn like a $5 budget into something that looks like it's $5 million. Like with Serenity, when you look at how much money that movie cost and how good it looks, it's fascinating. Like the amount that they managed to stretch that out is incredible, and that film is still the gold standard for me of like sci-fi movies that aren't Star Wars. Like I still think that's absolutely genius.
Oh yeah, Serenity is incredible.
Yeah.
That movie, I don't know why people don't have it like on the list of great sci-fi movies more often, because it totally deserves it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's I think it's one of those films where like if Star Wars never existed, we'd have like a very different sort of canon of like spaceship movies. And Serenity, I think Serenity would be around one of the like the Star Trek reboots in terms of like ones that are just really fun as shit to watch and just really good. And yeah. Okay, anything else you'd like to add about Angel or these 2 episodes? Or Buffy, if you've got any more Buffy thoughts, I guess, if we want to go that road.
Man, I mean, this is gonna be the last time I'm talking about them on this show. So, they mean a whole lot to me. I don't know if I needed them at any point in my life.
Yeah.
But if I did, I may have needed them even before I watched them. So I think the quality of my life has vastly improved since I watched both these shows. The ending of Angel specifically, I always find very inspirational, and it just makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Like there are very few shows that I feel good while watching, and that ending makes me just like glow. Like I feel like happy to be alive almost,
That's good.
Like, that sounds depressing. Not almost. I mean, just like a lot of feelings, and they're all good. There you go.
Yeah. No, I watched this last night. I've had like a really weird week of my wife's cousin. His kid's really ill, so she's at the hospital, and we were looking after his other 2 kids. So it's been chaos, and we've been like, we like a 5-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. So me and the 5-year-old boy have just been on the iPad playing like puzzle games, just getting up to mischief. and then we took the 10-year-old girl to see Beauty and the Beast and all that. So it's just been constant, and then like work's insane. I'm feeling really ill, and I was just like, last night I got home from work and I was like, right, I just need to carve out an hour by myself somewhere in this house, and I can just watch this TV show. And it was great. It was like a vacation. I was just like sat there watching it like I am. Like I say, in my notes, I think the third thing I wrote was just, I love this. Like I was just into it straight away. I think that was when it was like, oh, you've got to go see the Black Circle. And it was like the big boardroom, and you had like, you know, the guy who was on like life support and all the devils and demons and shit. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. I just need something that is that right level of ridiculous, but just like knows what it is, but is having a great time. Because Angel, just go slightly back into my notes, from the first to the last, Angel is 100% cooler. You know, like the first episode, he's a bit dorky, but this last episode, when he was just like reclining on the chair, just like giving people shit, it's like, yeah, this is great, this is cool. I'm very happy with this, and that was great. So like after that, I felt much better. And that was like my little vacation away from my life to watch Angel and then talk to you.
Yay! Oh, I'm happy to contribute. Okay. One more thing.
Yep.
Buffy always had the big bad. Angel never. I mean, they had a couple, but they were always underwhelming or never as showy.
Yeah.
And so what they did with this season was they planted all the seeds for the Circle of the Black Sun and the big revelation of what that is.
Yeah.
It's basically like Illuminati.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting message too. Like, there's a bunch of monsters, and there's a lot of different types of monsters, and they're all scary. And it's always going to be scary when there's a lot more of them.
Yeah.
But again, tying it back to the point of the ending is that as long as you fight, you can't lose, and that's just damn great.
That is great, and I think that's a great note to end on. So, Diego, mate, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh my gosh, just follow me on Twitter. There's a lot.
Cool.
Follow me on Twitter. President Diego is my new name, but my handle is still at Diego Waffles, DEGGO Waffles.
Okay.
I finally have time to carve out to contribute more to audiences everywhere. My list of Fast and Furious rankings just popped up. Hopefully, have more time to do even more stuff. I don't know when this is airing.
Couple of weeks.
Okay, so then like
3 weeks.
Okay, so the Alien stuff will be out by then.
Yeah.
Waffle Press, of course. Lots of stuff happening over there. And I also contribute to podcasts at Real Film Chatter, so check out that stuff too.
Fantastic, man. You're keeping yourself busy, winning awards, just being cool, man. It's ace. It's really good.
Oh, thank you, yeah. Oh, yes. El Paisano Online. I run a newspaper for my college, and that is our website. It needs to be a little updated and whatnot, but we're getting there. We got the print thing down. Now you see the online
Fantastic.
side of things.
That's amazing. Well, yeah, I am looking for... Well, obviously, with the Fast and the Furious thing, I've only seen the Fast and the Furious. I've only seen the first movie. I don't know. I think maybe next year or something. I don't know, because I do an audience everywhere. It was supposed to be once a year, but I think it's like once every 6 months. I do one of these big watching projects. So, like, you know, last year I watched all the Universal horror movies. The year before I watched all the Bond films. I think Mission Impossible before that. This year it's, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but something else, and then something else at Halloween. So I think at some point, well, it's a bit of a tricky one, because either at some point I've got to sit and watch all 8 of the Fast and the Furious movies and write reviews for all of them, or save them, and when there's a spot for a movie special, you'll have to come back on and we'll watch Fast and the Furious and then whatever the newest one is, because that will be a big journey from that first film where they're stealing DVD players to... I think I saw on the trailer, the newest one, The Rock punches a torpedo at a submarine.
Oh, you don't even know. I heard that's... No, I think that's supposed to be the craziest thing that happens, but I've heard this one really pushes the boundaries, like, even for the fans of the series.
Yeah.
Which makes me sure I'm going to love it, so...
to be honest, like I say, I haven't watched them. I pretty much know the plot inside and out from, like, reading stuff you've written and how did this get made, do episodes about them. So, I don't know, I may find myself bored next week and I'll take my wife to go see it, and then when she divorces me, I'll have time to watch all the rest.
Oh, no, it's great. It's like if Commando was an action... Like, if Commando became an action series, and then there was a lot more heart also. I mean, Commando has heart, but you know what I mean.
Well, we went to see Kong. There was a trailer before for the Fate of the Furious, and when it was over, my wife just leant over to me and she was like, fuck that movie. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, she was not into it. But, I don't know, she used to not be into other movies, so we'll see.
Yeah. Sorry you watched Kong, by the way.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that was the whole thing. Anyway, you can find me online at, my personal one is ecreatic_bind on Twitter. You can find my writing on Audience Everywhere. What do I have? At the moment, obviously, you can always look out for Podcasts of the Week, where I feature a movie podcast and a non-movie podcast. That's always a lot of fun. There's some awesome writing coming up on Audience Everywhere, a couple of themed weeks that are going to be really cool. For this podcast, it's at First to Last Pod, or you can email me directly at fromfirsttolastpodcast@gmail.com. I've had a couple of cool emails recently of people requesting shows, or just requesting that I think about getting other people to do shows, which was interesting. Like, a guy emailed me and said that he really liked this TV show and someone should do it. And I was like, do you want to do it? And he's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, cool. I'm like, yeah, man, don't say yourself sure. Come on. So in a couple of weeks, I'll have him on, and that'll be cool. That'll be a whole new experience. But yeah, so there's still a variety of shows left to pick. There's still... I don't know if there is any more Whedon shows. I don't think... Did Dollhouse run for... How long did Dollhouse run for? 2 seasons?
Dollhouse ran for 2 seasons.
Okay, so there's still an opportunity to come back for the final Whedon show. But we shall see. Anyway, Diego, thank you for coming on, and thank you for putting up with my sniffling and coughing and whatnot.
Oh, of course. Okay, wait, one last plug. My Alien retrospective series is almost over. I just uploaded Alien 3, and it's awesome. And my opening 10 seconds to that I'm never going to top them. So, that's it.
And your guest is Matt Garingo.
Matt Garingo, yeah. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you for letting me yell about Joss Whedon some more.
No, fantastic. Thank you for putting... This is a finale I've been wanting to watch for a while, so it was cool that it lived up to the hype. And, yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, and have a lovely day.
And you too.
Okay, man. Well, my name is Sean Fallon. This has been From First to Last. Goodbye.